We've all seen this scene. It became an instant classic. On the other hand, this is that scene in the manga. The difference is night and day. The anime took this mundane but very important manga page and gave it an amazing amount of care. They leveled up that moment and made it fully reflect Aqua's mental state and his feelings in that moment using that rough inky style for the animation. This is only scratching the surface of this great adaptation. The anime took full advantage of everything that the medium of anime can offer. So in this video, I'll be covering how the anime took an already great manga and turned it into a modern anime masterpiece. And in the final segment of this video, I'll be talking about the thread that connects everything that I will talk about in this video, and it is the main reason the anime turned out to be this good. I've already talked about how the anime elevated the Aqua scene, but this wasn't the only time that it happened. They also added another one like that, but for Ruby. The anime dedicated those insanely well-produced scenes to the moments that are going to shape the main characters moving forward. The Ruby scene was the one where she got over her trauma. The scene was the complete opposite of Aqua's scene. It was animated with insanely bright colors. The lighting was also on the extreme end to emphasize the euphoric feeling that Ruby had, and that scene defined her character for the rest of the season. Comparatively, the manga had a page spread for the Ruby scene. It wasn't bad, but the anime just brought it to a whole new level to showcase that this is a big deal. The anime didn't just elevate those scenes and transform them. They also added some small creative touches that weren't in the manga, like this. They showed the rotting trash hole that was the stalker's apartment. In the manga, we didn't see his full room. With just this small few second scene, we as viewers would much more understand the state of someone who would be this deep into a parasocial relationship and who can commit the horrible acts that he did. By the way, this is just one example of them doing this. But this shouldn't be a surprise. After all, what great adaptations do is transform the source material into the new medium, using the advantages of that medium, and to do that, they have to fully understand the overall story, the settings, and the characters to the degree of the original author, or just a little less than that. The Oshi No staff did that to the max. Like, they would ask all the questions they had to Aka Asaka, and with that they wouldn't get information that wasn't really prefaced in the manga. A couple examples of the questions they asked were, what time period was the story set in? And what do the stars in the eyes of the Hoshino family mean? With questions like those, they truly understood everything about the story, and more importantly, the characters. And you can see that most in Ai. Getting Ai's character right was the most important thing the anime needed to do. And yeah, they exceeded all expectations. In fact, Ai's personality in the manga compared to the anime is so toned down. Her aura and personality are much brighter in the anime, which is kind of weird since it's usually the opposite because the manga is the original source. But honestly, that's how it felt to me. I think a big reason for that is how the anime did the Ai section. Instead of multiple chapters with each having their start and end, it was just one episode with the length of a movie. This contributed so much into Ai's presence and the vibe that she gave to the people around her, including us the viewers. That also includes the parasocial guys that were fans of hers, including her eventual killer. The reason bringing Ai's character to life was the most important thing to do for the anime is because Ai is the heart of the entire story. She's the character that made everything happen and continues to make things happen. Take Ruby for example. She is so set on becoming an idol because of how much Ai inspired her, and that before Ai died, she told Ruby that she can become an idol too. Another example is Aqua. His whole purpose of living after Ai's passing is to get revenge for her. This is also not just for the main two. We see how messed up and dark the whole industry is from witnessing Ai being in it, which then led us to reflect on her character and what happened to her in comparison to the current characters and events. So as you can see, she is the heart of the story, and the anime needed to leave a massive impression with her. And man, they absolutely nailed it. What helped a lot with doing that was capturing the feel and the atmosphere of the story, which is in fact the biggest downfall of most adaptations. Look at Tokyo Ghoul. The first season mostly followed the events of the manga, but the feel and the atmosphere it gave couldn't be more different than the original, and thus it's regarded as a bad adaptation. Of course, this is only for the first season. We do not talk about the rest. Oshi No didn't get tangled in that downfall. In fact, it's the complete opposite. They took the manga's atmosphere and boosted it. Something that is very important that adds to the feel and the atmosphere is the soundtrack and the sound design. It was really good. I'm not very well versed in music, but I do understand when the entire sound design makes you feel the story much more, and it definitely did that. It matched the feel of the story very well and it elevated it so hard. You can take a look at the tracks they did. For example, the opening. It's a certified banger, and that's reflected in the numbers. It has well over 100 million views in just 1 month. Something else though, the series is so funny, which is a given because it's Akasaka, but I honestly didn't really feel that when reading the manga. But when you watch the anime, because of the actors' delivery, the animations, and the changes they did with that, it delivers it to a whole new level. Just look at this scene with Aqua talking to the director for the first time. In the manga, it didn't feel as weird because it was just a drawing of a kid. That didn't convey much. Compared to that, the anime was so absurd. Just a child who looks and sounds like a child having this full-on dialogue with the director about the industry and the messed up parts in it. It's just so funny. Piggybacking off of this point, the anime juggled between those funny moments and the serious dark moments so well. It didn't feel out of place, and when it did, it was on purpose and it felt so natural. All the things I mentioned earlier bring the story to life, but it wasn't only that. They brought the characters to life, and I was the forefront of that. But she wasn't alone in this. Some minor characters had that too, like the manager. In the manga, when I was reading it, he didn't really come across as weird or annoying that much. Like, he was just there, and he in fact helped her a lot. But comparing that to the anime, you can really see how much of a scumbag he is. And the voice actor did a great job with delivering all his lines. His character just becomes so real. You can feel that this person is a really slimy, greedy, corporate type of guy. In the manga, it was supposed to feel like that too, but he just didn't come across that way, at least to me. He didn't really bring out those emotions out of me. Okay, moving on, bringing the manga to life wasn't just limited to how they dealt with the characters. The performances done by the characters are always handled with the utmost care, and they end up unironically hitting different. You can look at the big concert that Bikomachi did after Ai's return. To fully bring it to life, the anime staff hired professional dance choreographers to come up with the dance, and then they filmed it in real life. After that, they took that video and made it into 3D models and animated over those 3D models. All this is to give this amazing, realistic, but anime feel that we got. They went above and beyond to make the anime come to life in the best way possible. Now, the second biggest thing that made this adaptation go so hard was how they decided to utilize colors. The staff used the lighting and colors in every scene to convey the full intent and message behind each one of those scenes. You can look at Ai's death, for example. Ai's death wasn't this flashy, epic scene, so they use the color saturation and the lighting in the scene to send us viewers the true intent behind the scene and make its emotions land so much harder, which also led us to get attached to Ai's character even more. They did that by toning down the saturation, making all the colors in the scene mute. Then they used the lighting from the natural light source that would be coming from the apartment's see-through door. They used lighting this way to give the scene a more real and raw feeling. And following the theme of this video, this wasn't the only way they min-maxed the color usage. If you've noticed, all the characters' hair has a slight glow to it, which at its core is used as an artistic choice to give the anime this more stylized look. But they didn't only use the effect for that. They also used that sometimes to convey a character's feeling and mood. You can take Akane for example. When she's first introduced, her hair has the same glow, but as her character's story started going darker and heavier, the glow kept fading away. And when she hit rock bottom, the glow was almost completely gone. And then when her character started to rise again, the glow also came back. This is something that I haven't really seen many anime do. If you've noticed, there's a common thread between all the things I mentioned in this video, and that is the staff. They really put their all into this adaptation. They were all massive fans of the manga before they ever worked on the adaptation. When everyone in the staff first read the manga, they instantly knew that they wanted to be the ones who make it into an anime, which led them to having the right mentality when going in for an adaptation, which is being fully faithful to the manga's intent. And they decided they weren't going to remove any of the important scenes or their contexts. That resulted in the forecast of how they wanted the first episode to go. They, as a collective, decided that no matter what, they were going to adapt the first volume into the first episode, no matter how long the episode was going to be. But lucky for them, it turned out perfectly, 90 minutes or 3 episodes in one, which was the perfect length for the premiere of this show. They also worked very closely with the original makers and the source material to make sure they got everything right and that they understood the full meaning and intent behind every single scene. Everyone in the staff brought their A game. They all used their max creative skills and put it very carefully into this adaptation. It was 100% a passion project, and this is why it's so perfect. This level of quality and innovation is what you get when creators are going with a huge amount of passion, and it is the true secret behind having good adaptations and works in general. If you want to see the same level of passion and innovation but in the manga medium, you can watch this video right here to see why Fujimoto is that but for manga.